Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kalina. I'm the media manager at Reflex Marine, and I will be moderating today's session. I hope you enjoyed the introductory videos we shared featuring some of our products. I would like to start with some housekeeping rules. Today's webinar is scheduled to last about 1 hour, including the Q&A session at the end. All attendees are automatically muted to allow our speaker to present without interruption. Questions can be submitted via the chat box on the right-hand side at any time during the webinar. The presentation recording will be emailed to you approximately 48 hours after the session, and all our webinars are also available to view on demand on our YouTube channel. Okay then, as I'm not seeing any remarks or questions in the chat box right now, I think we're ready to get started. And our speaker for today's presentation is Ms. Sandra Antonovic, Reflex Marines Chief Operating Officer. Sandra is responsible for global commercial development and strategic business positioning at Reflex Marine, leading the opening of new markets. Sandra's operational expertise focuses on business transition, diversification, and strategic growth. Today, Sandra will tell you more about Reflex Marine's award-winning work basket, the Storm Work. Sandra, over to you.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. So as Victoria said, I'll walk you through Stormwork, our off-the-shelf work basket for offshore operations. So let's start. For those of you who might not be familiar with us as a company, Reflex Marine was founded 30 years ago, and we have been focusing on safe crew transfer. So we have been providing safe access solutions to operators offshore. Our most well-known product is Frog. You can see one here on this image from our old product range. And I will give you some information on the next couple of slides about the Frog. So we supply several different types of Frog personal transfer units, depending on capacity. And using those personal transfer carriers, over 1 million of safe transfers are performed each year throughout the world. At the moment, we supply to 70 countries, and we collaborate with companies that are operating in 70 countries. We have a safety track record of 10 years without a lost time incident. And we are very proud of the performance and the durability and the safety of the personal transfer. About 10 years ago, we started looking at other transfers in the offshore industries where those transfers would still be done by crane. So we have developed modifiable product Storm Pro, which is a lightweight container. And we also developed Stormwork, which is a work basket. So we expanded on the original scope of trying to provide safe transfer for people to additional products, but we are still focusing on offshore universe. We also moved into other market segments. So we are supporting companies that are either supporting the offshore oil and gas industry or are in some completely different areas. So we work with LNG companies. We support companies that are involved in decommissioning activities, dredging, and anything similar, offshore civil engineering. We also support Navy and Coast Guard. And anybody else basically who works offshore, performs any kind of activity, and has the need transfer people back and forth, either from a vessel to a vessel or from installation to a vessel. At the moment, we have over 1,300 units operating globally on all continents in all weather conditions. The most severe weather conditions where our units are being used are in Yamal and in Sakhalin, and then after that in Atlantic Canada and offshore Norway and in the North Sea. And in terms of the other side of the temperature scale, we have over 100 units operating in Southeast Asia in a very tropical and humid weather conditions. We also have units operating in Middle East and in Brazil and Mexico. So going back to the original theme of this webinar, I'll be focusing on work baskets. Today, I'll run you through all of our products towards the end of the webinar so that you can get an idea what else are we offering. So when we started thinking about developing a work basket, we looked at the existing models and what people were using for their offshore work, and we tried to understand what were the issues that companies operating offshore are having. So why would they use the work basket in the first place? And then what were the difficulties that they were encountering during the use of the existing work baskets? So whether they felt safe, whether the work basket was providing everything that they were after, whether they thought that they could be improved in any way, and whether they mitigated all the risks that they were concerned about, and also whether they gave them the chance to perform all the work and all the duties that they wanted to perform with those work baskets. We then compiled all that feedback, and we also had discussions with quite a few companies that were using work baskets on a day-to-day basis. One of those companies was Seaway Heavy Lifting. Today they are called Seaway 7, but I hope everyone will understand who I'm talking about. And we came to an arrangement that we are going to use their feedback and experience and our expertise in developing safe crane transfer options to develop a work basket that is going to mitigate the existing risks of working at height offshore. Excuse me. So then we entered into this project development mode with Seaway Heavy Lifting, and over a period of time, we came up with stonework. What were the risks that we were trying to mitigate, and what were the shortcomings of the existing work baskets that we were trying to overcome? So snagging risks, crushing risks, no impact protection, no immersion protection, and then we wanted to simplify the inspection and maintenance procedure. We wanted to make it very streamlined, and we wanted to also mitigate the corrosion of the work basket itself. And the last thing that we were trying to focus on is avoid any welding in the critical load path. So those were the shortcomings and the risks that we managed to identify through feedback from different clients, and then taking one client as a case study, so to speak. We then worked with them in the attempt to mitigate all those risks and to overcome the shortcomings. So what are the challenges at working at height? Most companies came back with feedback saying we want to have safe work access, we want to have maneuverability, we want to be protected when it comes to vertical and lateral impact. So we want to feel certain that even though there might be an impact, that we are going to be protected. We want to avoid any damage on impact to offshore structures, and we want to mitigate or avoid completely crushing or trapping injuries. So those were the challenges. And then we got to work and we developed stonework. So here you have on your left-hand side, you have an image with stonework next to a standard work basket. You can see quite easily that even though they're similar in size, the protection that they're offering is quite different. So for starters, we have the yellow buoyancy that has dual purpose, so to say. So it protects you against lateral impact, but it also gives you protection if the unit, for whatever reason, falls into water. It would enable for the work basket to float. So you would be your workers would be safe until they can be rescued. This is summarizing the stonework development that I just explained. What I didn't mention is that after developing the final model of the product, we then entered the testing phase. The testing was done first by our engineers, and then it was done also in collaboration with Seaway Heavy Lifting, today Seaway 7. So they were present during testing process. They had access to the testing procedure. They had access to all the values, and they were able to make their comments and to ask for additional explanations or give suggestions from their end. After that, we decided to go into field trials before putting the unit on the shelf and starting selling it as an off-the-shelf product. Again, we did that with Seaway Heavy Lifting or Seaway 7, and I will show you in a bit a summary of the collaboration between us and Seaway Heavy Lifting. So the field trials were done on their vessels. They received the units, they had them in their care, they could use them on a daily basis. We had access for a certain period of time. So we had our technical guys aboard their vessel for a couple of days to observe and be there to assist during the field trial. Seaway Heavy Lifting were extremely happy after the field trial. They kept the units, started using them properly on a day-to-day basis, and they since then they got some more units. So now they have a fleet of stonework units. They're using them in different operational scenarios offshore, sometimes for decommissioning, sometimes for other activities that they have in different countries. So they're not using them only in Netherlands, they're using them in different countries across the world. So this video will show you now the summary of what I was just describing. If we can play the video. Thank you.
In 2017, Seaway Heavy Lifting launched a project to reduce risks associated with access by crane work baskets. Such access was crucial to the efficient conduct of their operations, but the technology had not kept pace with industry changes and rising safety expectations.
My name is Jan and I'm working as senior main crane operator by Seaway Heavy Lifting. And I'm working offshore in the cranes 38 years now. Storm is very good because before we had a steel working basket and it was a square one and it was welded and there was no extra protection for the guys to working a little bit out of the basket because it was flat, there was no green zone.
Stormwork is addressing 4 key risks, really. There's the integrity of the equipment itself, as a piece of lifting equipment that has to suspend personnel. There's the risk of impacts during the operation, lateral impacts in particular. And there's also issues of snagging when you're making manoeuvres with equipment, the possibility of snagging on some nearby structure.
Stormwork has an offset space between the contact points of the corner fenders and the rigid inner frame. It provides essentially a safe working zone outside of the device. We call it the yellow zone, and it's designed to eliminate crushing and trapping injuries.
My name is Nico Kukuringos. My function with Seaway is technical engineer, which consists of modifying and managing the project equipment.
My name is Mark van Gorth. I'm the operations engineer working in the operations department supporting the vessels.
We were reviewing our current work basket against the industry standards, and we found out that we had to apply anti-snagging controls and buoyancy.
The simplicity of the structure itself. It's a well-free design and minimizes the number of components and the critical path. And another very important part is we make the inspection and maintenance process very easy. That includes pre-use inspection.
And then it's very handy to have such a device on board as a work basket. With the Stormwork, it is a light device, it's easy to turn. It's a very safe and comfortable basket, and the guys really want to work with it. We are using the Stormwork basket and we are really happy with it. It's a good device.
Following its successful development, Stormwork technology is now available to the whole offshore and marine industry. Seaway Heavy Lifting and Reflex Marine continue to collaborate on projects to improve safety and efficiency in offshore operations.
Okay, great. Thank you, Victoria, for sharing that video and playing it for everyone. So I hope this visually summarizes everything that I was explaining on previous slides, and you also could hear people from Seaway Heavy Lifting, so their technical guys and engineers and operational guys, and you also heard our CEO and technical director talking about main features of the product. So I hope that this was helpful for everyone. Now I'm going to move towards sharing what we have in the user manual and some other documents that you can find on our website, and Victoria will also share the user manual on in the handouts section during this webinar. There it goes. Everything else regarding Stormwork you can easily find on our website, reflexmarine.com, or simply send us an email at info@reflexmarine.com, and we'll send you the user manual and anything else that you might need. We have a set of drawings. We also have the inspection and maintenance guidance so we can email you that quite easily. I know that particularly in Europe and in some other countries, companies prefer to have user manuals in their own language, which is understandable. At the moment, we have Stonework user manual available in German, but if required, we would be happy to translate it to Dutch or French or any other Russian or any other language that you might require. So just again, send us an email, and we'd be happy to do the technical translation for you, so that you can have an easier access to all the information. So going back to the slides, as Philip Strong, our technical director, said, here you can see the infographics showing the safe zone, the work zone, and the hazard zone on your right-hand side. And then the objectives that we were taking into consideration and working towards during the development process. So they are basically connected to the beginning of the presentation when I was talking about risks. Here is how we were trying to mitigate those risks and how we were trying to overcome some of the negative sides of the existing work basket. So we were trying to create a full worker protection, a safe working zone. We were extremely focused on creating an anti-snagging profile. We were creating protection against both lateral and vertical impacts. And we wanted to create a work basket that will be lightweight and easy to maneuver. And then I already mentioned the buoyancy. Apart from giving you lateral impact protection, it also protects you by enabling the unit to float if immersed in the water. So I hope that that all is helpful information. Still staying with objectives during the design process. Here now we are pointing with this infographics and with the image explaining in further details everything that I just talked about. The only thing that I haven't mentioned in detail was the feet designed to absorb hard landing impact. So I talked about protection against lateral impact, and here you can also get an idea of protection against vertical impact. So if the work basket is has a stronger landing, let's say. Moving forward, once Stonework became an off-the-shelf product, we submitted the design features and the development process story, and also all the results from the testing process to the LIA. I'm sure everybody is familiar with this non-governmental body, and we won an award in 2019 for the safest design. So this article and this story can be also found on our website. Perhaps Victoria, while I am sharing the slides, she can share the link to the to this post from our website in the chat box, so that you can all have a look at it and read what the article says. The article is an interview with our engineering manager, Paul Onions, and he shares some more insight on how we designed and developed this particular product. While Stonework is off-the-shelf product, we can do modifications, and we have done so for ConocoPhillips in Australia. So they asked us to develop Maxi Stonework. So they wanted a larger unit, and we developed it for them as a project, and they have been using it since 2018. So we actually delivered the Maxi stonework before the off-the-shelf stonework was completed as a product, because they were in a rush. But ConocoPhillips is using a modified version offshore Australia, and they're very happy with the features that it offers them, with how they can mitigate the risks, and with the larger version of the work basket that enables them to have more people inside. We can also modify the stonework to be able to convert to a medevac mode. So if you need to, if you want to have a mitigating option for injuries, and to be able to transfer injured people who are unable to stand or unable to sit, but you still have to transfer them from the vessel or from the platform to a support vessel and take them to safety, or to seek the medical attention, we can modify stonework to be able to convert to medevac mode. So that's something to keep in mind. Now I'm going to share some information that is available in the user manual that Victoria shared in the handout section. So here on the left-hand side, you can see the basic operational parameters for stonework in its off-the-shelf version. So it can take up to 4 workers. You can see the footprint 1.7 with 1.2 meters, the height, and then the workload, the safe workload is 0.5 ton or 500 kilograms. Maximum gross mass, together with the with 4 people in it, would be 850 kilograms, and then the operational temperature is basically similar to the operational temperature we have for some of our lighter options, so to speak. For personal crane transfer, it operates safely in temperatures from -20 to +50 degrees Celsius. These are, of course, conservative values. So if you have a situation where you have to operate in temperatures lower than -20, please let us know, and we will do the analysis. And I'm sure that that we will have a positive answer for you. It has been tested for lateral impact of up to 2 meters per second. And it has been tested in a range of snagging scenarios. So you were able to see in that short video that we showed a part of the testing process in our research and development center in Barcelona in Spain. So it has been tested in a range of scenarios in water. It has also been tested with 7 kilo ball dropped from 2 meters. So we did quite extensive testing. Normally during testing process, we follow with our personal transfer carriers, we follow the MIRA recommendation. So we do similar or same process as when a car is being tested. And we are doing the testing process with human body in mind. So we are trying to understand the impact on a human body, particularly when we are doing tests for lateral impact and for vertical impact. The user manual that Victoria shared will give you all the standards that stonework complies with, and would also give you all the quality system that against which it is being manufactured. It will give you the attestation of conformity, and it will give you some information on stability. So I'm not going to read through now this information because you have them in the user manual, and you should go through the user manual. It isn't that long. It is about 20 pages with lots of images, but it's very, very useful because it gives you quite a lot of information on pre-use procedure, on operational guidance, instructions in line with the standard that we are complying with. So that would be the cranes, equipment for lifting of persons, part 1, suspending baskets. The standard is BS EN 14502-1 from 2010. It also gives the quite good and comprehensive guideline for passengers and for crane operator. So from that side, the beginning of the user manual gives a wider guidance and provides useful information both for the crew but also for the crane operator. Then the user manual talks about inspection and maintenance. It explains the critical parts. It explains the definition of a competent person, which is a term that we use quite a lot in the user manual. So it just defines that in more detail so everybody is on the same page. And then it also explains all the additional things that you receive together with the unit, which is customer drawing pack, certification pack, inspection plate, data plate, and so on. So it explains what they're used for, how they should be used. And then if you need anything additional, just let us know and we'll be happy to help. The interesting thing in the user manual is the inspection and maintenance schedule. So you will see a table that shows how frequent should the inspection and maintenance happen. It basically takes 2 different categories of usage. Whether you are using, whether you are having less than 100 lifts during a 6-month period, or whether you are having over 100 lifts during a 6-month period. We tried to reduce, to design the product in such a way that the inspection and maintenance is reduced to an absolute minimum. So apart from pre-use inspection, which is a visual inspection, and examination, which again is a visual examination, the only thing that would be required is a wire rope sling replacement, so the lifting assembly. And we recommend that that is done every 12 months because it is the most critical part of the work basket. There can be periodic parts replacements that include the load test, but those are those are over 2 years for high usage. So if you are using it over 100 times during 6 months, or over 3 years if you have low usage. So essentially, apart from changing the lifting assembly every year, you shouldn't have any other requirements for maintenance or for spare parts during a period of 2 to 3 years. So we really try to minimize the requirements that you would have during the lifespan of this work basket. Talking about lifespan of the work basket for low usage, so again, less than 100 time lifts over a period of 6 months, the recommended life span of the work basket is 12 years. For high usage, so over 100 lifts over 6 months, the recommended lifespan is 8 years. Some of you now might think about corrosion. It sounds like a long time, 12 years, and you might be concerned about corrosion of the storm work basket itself. So the material that we use is 316 stainless steel. In that sense, the corrosion should be mitigated or should be non-existent. It depends how you store the unit. how often do you use it, what kind of weather conditions are you in, what is the exposure to elements, are you in the tropical climate, and so on. So we do supply stonework cover, which is a heavy use protective cover, which can help you store the work basket in an adequate way while you are offshore and protect it from elements as much as possible to ensure that the lifespan hasn't been compromised by overexposure. So what is the application? We've now covered a little bit of user manual and sort of how to use the unit, how to maintain the unit, how to own it, and now where can we use it? So oil and gas is an obvious, offshore oil and gas, but then also there are quite a lot of other market segments that I'm going to go through in a second. So with oil and gas, during commissioning phase, for overwater and overland inspection and maintenance and any type of work that you would need to do at height, the benefits are soft contact, flotation, safe work zone, so things that I've already covered on previous slides. During offshore wind operations, again, applications would be safe work next to fragile structures, blade maintenance and repairs. We also had cases when it was used during the commissioning process and any other type of work that is required during the life span of an offshore wind farm. Benefits are again the same: soft contact, flotation, and safe work zone. In decommissioning, I think it's quite an interesting area. Again, becoming a hot topic during past months, even though decommissioning is a process that is around us during all these years. And it's going on somewhere in the background, perhaps not always making the headlines, but certainly a very important part of the offshore industry and the growing part of the offshore industry. In that sense, during the development process of stonework, we did look quite extensively at decommissioning and that the requirements during decommissioning process and how we can help that particular part of the industry. So again, the application here would be safe work next to fragile structures. Once you are starting to disassemble things, the risk factor is increasing. So you certainly want to make sure that your workers are as safe as possible. It has very small footprint. In most cases, smaller than other work baskets available on the market. So it gives you the opportunity to access isolated areas after helipad is decommissioned. It also gives you extra protection from safe working zone. So in that sense, we really try to mitigate as many risks as we could for decommissioning application of stonework. Same benefits: soft contact, flotation, safe working zone. Ports and shipyards, another obvious application for stonework as a work basket during vessel maintenance and repairs, for any inspection, maintenance, and any other work that has to be done over water and over land, and then for hot work on installations as well. Stonework would be extremely suitable option. Same benefits: soft contact, flotation, and safe working zone. So here we come to the user manual that I walked you through in detail. The identification drawings. and inspection and maintenance manual. So Victoria has shared the user manual with you in the handout section. The other two are available on our website. You can download them for free. If you go to reflexmarine.com, you select the support tab, and then in the support tab you have a drop-down menu and you go to download section, or if it's easier, just email me at info@reflexmarine.com and we'll get you these drawings and the inspection and maintenance manual for your perusal. Again, just emphasizing that we would be happy to translate any of these documents into your language if it's easier for your team to go through them. Apart from the written and electronic or hard copies of these documents that I just mentioned, we also offer training. So Seaway Heavy Lifting had training for their crew. They went through the training process and they found it extremely useful. During the training process, you will be provided with general product familiarization. So every part of the product would be explained. How to use the product in the most effective way would be explained and demonstrated. We would go through you through inspection checklists, through inspection and maintenance procedures. We would make sure that you are that you understand and are fully aware on how you can make sure that you minimize the need for replacement parts and for any type of servicing. So how to take care of the unit in the appropriate way to minimize the requirement for servicing. Also how to do load test and what is why is doing load test once some parts have been changed be important, and then what accessories we offer with Stormwork. I've already mentioned one of them, which is a heavy duty protective cover protecting the unit when it's not being used from elements and exposure. This is what a user pack looks like. So the user pack is given with every single unit, regardless whether you are renting it or whether you are buying it. And it gives you the hard copy of the user manual and the hard copy of the certification package, the soft copy of the user manual, and everything else that you might need. So all the other things that you might need during the use of the unit. You would also receive the cert pack as a soft copy together with other paperwork once the unit is being shipped to you. And then the last thing that I would like to mention in terms of resources. So we had the user manual, the drawing pack, the inspection and maintenance manual. We had the training, then we had the user pack, and we also have the briefing videos on our YouTube page. So if you go to YouTube and you type in the search box Reflex Marine, it will take you to our YouTube channel, and there we have quite a lot of material, not just for Stormwork, but for other products that we supply and manufacture. So all these would be quite useful for you to go through in trying to decide which product would be best suited for your operation. Finally, this one is quite interesting. So Marine Transfer Forum is an independent body that was founded over 10 years ago. And the founding members were crane companies, crane operators, and we were one of the founding members, Reflex Marine. So Marine Transfer Forum developed an offshore personal transfer by crane, which can be used, and the information there can be applied also for Stormwork. Here is the website where you can download this document for free, or again, just send us an email and we'll send you a copy, an electronic copy of that. So I promised you a couple of slides back that I will walk you through the other products that we are offering. So all of these products are currently off-the-shelf products. So we have here, I will start from stonework on your right-hand side, and then I will go clockwise. So we have stonework work basket that I just walked you through. Then we have Wave personal transfer carrier for standing passengers, the one with the red basket in the middle. This one converts to medevac mode without any alterations. It is also suitable and is used by companies involved in decommissioning, in dredging, in and any similar activities. So going back to seaway heavy lifting, apart from having a fleet of stonework, they also have a fleet of wave units, and they use them in combination. So they would use stonework as a standard work basket to perform work at height, while they would use wave to transfer people from vessel to vessel or from a vessel to the installation. Then we are moving into the XT range. So that's extreme performance range of units. The first one is XT10, high capacity unit for 10 passengers. Then we have XT6, Frog XT6 for 6 passengers, Frog XT4 for 4. And then the smallest one is the latest product we have launched and is currently off-the-shelf product. It's Frog XT2, extremely suitable for offshore wind industry, but also for any other offshore industry where landing space or the requirement for a footprint are restricted because it has the smallest footprint of all transfer baskets and it takes only 2 people. The last one that looks like a tablet is Hawk deck motion monitor system. You can find the video of that on our YouTube page, and perhaps Victoria can quickly find that video as well and share it in the chat box if she can manage. That would be great. It is a software that consists of 2 modules. One module is installed on the vessel. The other one is installed on the crane. Using a wireless network, they talk to each other and they measure the sea state and conditions in real time. And they give you an indication using the traffic light system when it is safe to lift and when it is not safe to lift. It is being used in North Sea, in then offshore Norway, in our Norwegian Sea, offshore Canada, and in places like Trinidad and Tobago and offshore India. Companies that are using deck motion monitor system for their operations have reduced waiting on weather by up to 50%. The average is around 30%. Some companies had extreme savings, but I think if we look at the weighted average, that would be around 30% reduction on waiting on weather. The video that Victoria will show will explain in more detail this particular product. And then I mentioned on some slides that you can rent. So of course we understand that some projects are not long. Sometimes you have a project where you have a requirement to either perform work at heights or to lift people for a couple of weeks or for a couple of months. It makes no sense for you then to purchase the unit, but we offer very good rental packages. So that's an option for short-term projects. And that would be all for today on stonework. If you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer. if you have any questions once you go through the user manual or once you had time to digest the information that I have shared with you today, again, I would be more than happy to answer. Just send us an email. Next month, we'll be focusing on marine crew transfer in Navy and defense industry for those of you who might be interested. And here are the main contact points that you should note. So the easiest email to remember is info@reflexmarine.com, and then our website. We are on social media, but most important one would be YouTube with lots of free video materials, and also all the webinars that we had until this one. You can listen them whenever it's convenient, free of charge. Thank you very much. Victoria, if we have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yes. So we haven't received any questions in the chat box. So I think we're ready to wrap up this session. But like Sandra said already, please do feel free to email us if you have any questions after the webinar. Thank you very much, Sandra, for the presentation. And
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good day, everyone, and hopefully see you again on the next session.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.